Hello, everybody. Welcome to this session of Demystifying Zero Trust with Microsoft Intune. Let me start with demystifying us. This is Lior, our business lead for Intune. And I've worked with Lior for the last 4 years. And the first time I got to meet Lior, we were both thrown into a room to go work on a presentation that was supposed to happen the next day. Well, we did it. And since then, it's been great working with Lior. It's been fun, very creative, and things outside the box. Lior.
What a coincidence. I also know you for 4 years. Hi, so Sangeetha, the one and only Sangeetha, our engineering leader for Microsoft Intune. So everything that you're going to see today, it's built and designed by our team. So thank you, Sangeetha and team, in advance. So let's start. So our mission today is to take you through the journey of Zero Trust together with Microsoft Intune. And when we thought about it, we thought, what's the best way to explain it? It's a lot of different puzzle pieces. So today, we're going to connect the puzzle pieces around Zero Trust and Microsoft Intune. We're going to talk about each one of the pieces of the solutions. And clearly, we're going to demystify some things that people on the internet think it's real. So, but in case you missed it, yesterday, Eugenie and Jason had a phenomenal session, Breakout 341. They covered a lot of great topics about announcement about Microsoft Intune. It's recorded. Strongly recommend you to look into it. However, we're going to double click on some of those features today, so get ready. But let's start with Zero Trust. Zero Trust, just to give you an idea, we have a lot of different type of dedicated devices. So we have the dedicated devices for laptops. We have the mobile devices that became to be like, I actually see many of you taking pictures right now with those mobile devices. And of course, you have those companies that want to give the freedom for their employees, and there is the bring your own device. So with all of those things, they increase productivity, but also introduce some liability and risk. And that's what we're going to address from a Zero Trust perspective. In fact, if we are talking about that from a Microsoft Digital Defense report, 92%, let me repeat that, 92% of security breaches target unmanaged and poorly managed endpoints. So it's a huge number, a huge opportunity. And clearly, we're also going to talk about AI. And AI does provide us with a lot of opportunities, but also introduce risk. There is nothing that is perfectly good or perfectly bad. So when we get all of those devices and all of those motions, we get them into the Zero Trust story. However, Sangeetha and I have been talking about it, and we were dreaming all of our life to become Drew Carey and have our own host show. So with that being said, we're going to start a quick activity. It's called Most Secure Standing.
All right, let's get started. I know we are between you and lunch, but we thought we'll get you all to shake out your muscles a little bit. If everybody can stand up or raise your hand or smile, whatever works best for you. We have a few things on the next slide, and if that's applicable to you, we hope you'll keep standing. All right, Lior, let's get this going.
OK, so stand if it's still applicable for you. All your devices are managed on the cloud.
All right, still a good chunk of the room.
Yes.
Here. All your identities are managed natively on the cloud, not hybrid, not on-prem. Natively on the cloud. We lost a lot of people.
And lastly, you are using conditional access policies. OK, clearly, we have a lot of work to do over here.
All right. But for the folks that are standing, congratulations. You are well on your way to Zero Trust. And for everybody that had to sit down along the way, don't worry. We are here to demystify that journey into Zero Trust for you all. You may be wondering, well, Zero Trust is a security framework. What is Intune or endpoint management got to do with it? Let me explain that with an analogy. Think of Zero Trust like securing your home, right? It's a strategy for safety, which means every single door, every single window, every single entry point got to be protected. We do it with 3 principles. Principle number 1 is verify explicitly. When somebody comes and knocks on your door, you're not going to open it without doing a few things before it, right? We're going to look through the hole. You're going to check your monitoring system. I have a Ring camera. Or you verbally check in of who's there and validate that that's the same person in there. Drawing a parallel to Intune, that's exactly what Intune does really well. We have strengthened conditional access, multi-factor authentication, hardened attestation, and all the things that you see on your screen on the left that enables us to ensure every single device, every single app, every single user that enters is secure and is uncompromised. That's principle number one. Principle number two is least privilege access. Imagine having to give everybody that enters your home your master key. It could be your friend, your kids' friends, your plumber, electrician. Everybody has a master key. You might as well just give your home away. Right? Intune comes into play with endpoint privilege management, our scope tags, our role-based access control, and all the other things that you see here to ensure that only the people that are allowed to be in can do what they do. Well, you may ask, Sangi, but what happens? I want my plumber to not just stand in the entryway, but you want them to go to the bathroom and fix the pipe. Absolutely. That's what endpoint privilege management does. When you need to elevate somebody to do something, you give them those rights just for the window and for what you want them to do without having to hand off your master key. Principle number three, assume breach. I know we all mean well. I know we want it to be absolutely secure. Some way, in case there's breach, Intune is built to ensure that you protect it. Our data is always encrypted. And when there are anomalies, something seems off, we have advanced analytics that notifies you of the anomalies that are in the system. And we keep our OS and app patched all the time so that vulnerabilities don't happen. Why am I talking about all of this to you? It's not to say zero trust is something to fear. Zero trust is about confidence. And Intune helps you verify, helps you limit, and helps you respond in kind and builds confidence. It's also, think of your favorite superhero movie where all the puzzle pieces have to come together and a portal opens. That's kind of the next part that we're going to talk through. What are the various puzzle pieces that are going to help us get to zero trust? We have cloud native, and we go a little bit about it, not too much into it. And then it's Intune platform. What you get when you start using Intune, all the foundational things that you get with Intune. And the additional security now you have with workloads, which is the last part of the puzzle, which increases the security that you have when you use those workloads. Let's start with cloud native. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about cloud native. We have spent years telling you all the benefits of cloud native. And you all heard yesterday in Jenny and Jason's talk about cloud native not being optional. That's right, folks. Cloud native is a pre-requirement for us to get to zero trust. When I say cloud native, what do I mean? I mean having management and identity fully managed by the cloud. Microsoft Intune for your conditional access policies, so you have the richness and the granularity of figuring out what is it that you want to be managing and controlling. And Entra for actually enforcing those conditional access policies. And together, they make this powerful conditional access feature that is our first step towards zero trust. Okay, moving on to the next part of the puzzle, Intune platform. When I say platform, I mean all foundational things that you get in Intune. It's not something where you have to go add a feature to get those benefits. Those could be the devices that Lior talked about earlier, right? The bring your own device, we have a dedicated devices, we have our mobile devices. All of this are tied together through our platform because you use Intune and a single pane of glass. I'm still sticking to the initial framework of the three principles, right? The verify explicitly, the assume breach, and the least privilege access. There's a lot of features out here that's on the slide. I'll probably be here all day if I'm going to talk about each of those features. But that's basically all you get as just being on top of Intune platform. I'm going to pick a few to talk about in the platform section. Okay, we got latency improvements that we've made. And I'll talk about a few things that bring everything together centralized and increase security by diversifying when you go deploy it.
Wait, Sangi, I read online on all of those Reddit forums that it takes, what, 8 hours to check in with Microsoft Intune?
No, Lior, whoever's saying that has not used Intune for a long time. Let me start. Perfect segue for me into my first topic. And I get very excited talking about this because Lior said, I run the engineering team, and my engineers have been building all of these things. But some of those are very obvious to you because you see it on the UI. Some of those just go behind the scenes and you don't see it. This is one of those. The time it takes for 99%, P99, for a notification to go through is less than 25 minutes. And of those, more than 50% get the notifications in less than 5 minutes. And 8 hours is ancient. I don't know how long ago. How did we get here? We focused on 3 things. One, of course, speed and trying to make everything fast. We optimized our pipelines. We ensured everything was doing its best job and made sure that we had more processing power when additional check-ins came. 40% improvement in how many more check-ins can be handled in our system. The second thing we did was we increased predictability. Like, if we are coming on stage and giving you these numbers, we better be predictable when we do that. We increased predictability irrespective of where in the world you are, or what time your check-ins come, or how big your enterprise is. This is predictable numbers that we shared with you. And moving forward, we're not stopping here. We're trying to increase the way, how fast we can bring these to you. And it doesn't matter if you're sending an application that is it needs to be available in 7 days. We don't need this less than 5-minute turnaround time, but we want to prioritize the ones that are critical, that need to really have quick turnaround. Like a device gets enrolled. We want it to be secure as fast as possible, so we want a quick turnaround time. That's one of our prioritized scenarios. A device got compromised, or we need to wipe that device, that's a critical scenario. So all the scenarios you see here are the ones that we'll prioritize to ensure we have a quick turnaround time for that. And we will also focus on ensuring not just the platform capabilities, but our workloads in itself. We've heard a lot about reporting latency. We want to ensure that reporting, app, compliance, whatever be the workload that you use, also has inbuilt speed in the system. OK, I talked about latency, and now we know things are getting processed faster. But that means you all are going to have more things in your box to take care of. How many of you, show of hands, have told us, Intune, please give us one place to go to where we know all our tasks that need to be taken care of? OK, good number of hands. That's exactly what the next feature that I'm going to talk about does. Admin tasks. We don't have to go to the endpoint privilege management page to go approve your elevations. You don't have to go to your multi-admin approval page to go approve those. Or you don't have to go to Defender to go approve those. All the tasks that you need to take care of in one single place. I have a demo that I'm going to show in a few minutes, but this is how it's going to be. And if you see on the screen, there is endpoint privilege management, there's Defender, there's multi-admin approval. Those are the first 3 that we are starting with, and fast following with more. But that's not all. You all watched the agent demos yesterday that Jason showed. We have agents that's going to create tasks. Those will show up in this too, and giving you an integrated flow of whether you are in Intune, have agents, or your regular day-to-day, everything in one place. All right, we got speed. We got all your tasks in one place. What do? We got to deploy whatever we approved. That's now what we are working on. We are working on phased deployments, just like rings that you're used to with Autopatch. We have standardized rings that you can go use as templates. You can create exit criteria, create entry criteria. You can define how one moves into the other, pause, exit, all those features, along with auditing and report trails that helps you really manage this very well. The next one I'll talk about, integrated with the tasks. We have multiple times where unauthorized access happens and changes get made. Or how many of you here have wanted somebody to look over your shoulder or just do another check when you make a submit on a change that you feel like is going to be impactful to your enterprise? for any unintentional or unauthorized access, bringing us to zero trust, we have multi-admin approval. Every change you make now has to go through an additional approval just to make sure that you're protected and you will make that, and the impact is taken care of. And any change that gets made also goes through an audit trail. Okay, the demo. So in this demo, you'd see that we are going to deploy a script. And in the old days, you go deploy a script, mark it to assignment, and send it off. Here, you would see as you go through the properties and you assign, there is going to be a box at the bottom that you see which says review and submit for approval. You give your reason for what the approval is, and it gets sent for somebody else to approve. It doesn't now get deployed. So once this is done, me, as the new approver, I'm going to go to my page, and I'm going to see, and I see this new one that comes up as I refresh this. And you see the top one out there, and that's waiting for my approval. From right here, I can go to this page. I can see the details of all the approval that is needed here. I can decide if I want to approve or not. And if I want to approve it, I can do it from this single page instead of going around in multiple places. But wait, that's not all. Now, you may be wondering, what do? I have all this information, but I don't know if I should approve this or not. Endpoint privilege management elevation's one really good example. Somebody's going to ask you for an elevation, and you're not going to know if I should approve this or not. No worries, because our agent's going to come and give you that information to increase your confidence to go approve at this very place. All right, we got speed, we got deployments, we got tasks. What are we missing? Data. We want to make sure you have your data in your hands, enabling you to understand your entire landscape so you can make your secure decisions. Explorer has been out there for a few months now, and it gives you a natural language prompt to go ask things that you want to know about, and it responds to you so you can use it for further investigating what's going on. In this demo, you'd see one of the things that we worry about with endpoint privilege management is unauthorized elevations. And so I'm going to look to see what are the non-managed elevations that somebody's using in my system. And as I type it, it automatically finds out this query, and it's going to run this query. It not only just gives me the results, it also shows me what are the other related queries that are there. And it gives me some other actions that I can do based on what it tells me with the users that show up. Now, if I see in the users, there's one user here who's got 32 unmanaged elevations. Now I'm worried. I want to find out what are these events that are unmanaged. So I go back and type unmanaged events. And then now it lets me show unmanaged events for this user. Again, goes through, gives me the next set of actions, other queries that I can use, and the list of users list of events. Now I can go dig into seeing, is this something that I want to protect more? Do I want to go manage this elevation? Helps you get to a more secure place using your data. I know you've heard about this a few times, but I want to say this one more time. This is Explorer, part of our Security Copilot, Intune Copilot offering, and this is now included as part of ME5. If you have not tried it, please go try it. Okay, Lior, I talked a lot about our single tenant, big enterprise, what do they have, and how can they achieve zero trust? Do you want to demystify a little bit about multiple tenants?
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the feedback that we heard a lot is, OK, cool, Intune, you're so great, but you are only for enterprise. So, oh, Intune, you're so great, but you are for one tenant. Like, we're demystifying it right now. What's the situation is, that is pretty much what's happening is that from a blueprint perspective, we have our main configuration, we have the main policies, and then we acquire tenant. We get another geo-specific tenant, usually in Europe, that they need some additional compliance. And then we have some customer tenants, if you are in MSP, for example. All of those tenants, until now, you had to log into each one of them from an admin perspective, log in, log out, and actually duplicate those pieces. But what's happened when there is policy change in one tenant, configuration change in another one, custom baseline, administrative template change, it's difficult to manage all of those tenants. You need to know what's the drift, what's the stage, what's going on. And with that being said, we have partnered up, and we have two really good partners, Enforcer and Nerdio, that step up and actually offer a multi-tenancy capabilities for both enterprise and MSPs. on top of the Microsoft 365 stack. What does it mean? It means that your customers or you need to have Microsoft 365 licenses that include Intune and Entra, and you can partner with those companies and get your multi-tenancy. If you're looking to learn more, I strongly recommend you to read in the blog, and you have the QR code over there. But we need to make it real. And my kids love to watch a show that they always say, no job is too big. And when you say about no job is too big, it's 400,000 devices. PepsiCo took the lead of moving 400,000 devices, 230 mobile, 140,000 Windows devices. They introduced conditional access. They did certificate-based networks. And you know what? 99% drop in the signing time for shift workers. And why? There is no VPN. You just manage your devices, and you connect to them directly. This is a phenomenal testament to say that, yes, PepsiCo does deserve it. And it's a phenomenal testament to show that everything is possible. You cannot say my organization is too complex, we are too big, we are in multiple countries. Everything is possible, and now is the time. But Sangi, I need some water.
All right, let's go then to the next piece of our puzzle. Okay, we are going to talk about applications. Now, applications is, I know, bread and butter for a lot of you. And so you use it all the time. And while, again, you can take pictures, this got a lot of things that our app world gives you towards security, whether it is superseding to make sure that you assume breach and we're always on top of our vulnerabilities, or to making sure that there are no side-loaded or untrusted apps that you can run. Let me take that example and go to. But before I go there, I want you all to pay attention to the bottom part of the slide, where every one of the workloads that we talk about also has a frontier AI concept to it. And in this case, for apps, we have the vulnerability agent that Jason talked about yesterday, integrated with enterprise app management. Okay, let's talk a little bit about app control for business. Now, all enterprises, I'm sure you all want to make sure only your trusted apps get installed. And here's where our app control for business comes into play. You can go set your app control policy to ensure that only trusted apps come. But in that case, you have to have your long allowed list of apps that you have to trust. But if you have Intune Managed Installer added into it, now Intune becomes your trusted source for all your installable apps. Let me show you how. So in this case, we are trying to open Notepad++. It's actually opening. It is not a trusted app. It is not something that should be opened. So let's first go and set up the policy on this reference machine to ensure that Manage Installer is allowed, and we want to enforce trust. So as you go through this, you turn off audit mode, and we turned on Manage Installer. This policy is now set on this reference machine. Let's go to the admin console and see what we could do there. Now we're going to create the policy. The same policy network that you used to doing every day, we go create a policy, give the name, go through the functions of giving scope tags, assigning the policy to a group, and setting it to go. And as you go through this, the policy gets created for app control. But see the next tab in there, which is Managed Installer. Managed Installer, once added and enabled, now allows you to only trust Intune Managed apps. And so you enable this, you go through it and add an assignment to it, and this policy is set up. Once this goes and it's deployed, none of those apps that are unmanaged should be now clickable or used on your device. Let's go back and validate it. We go back to our reference machine again. That same Notepad++, double-click. Now it cannot be used anymore. Trust all over again, and the ease of use with it. Okay, I do want to come back to what I said was in the last section, which is data. We understand that you want your data. We understand that you want your data to be in your hands so you can secure yourself by asking it questions and knowing what it needs to know. So we are working on improved application inventory. It's enhanced now to increase the properties that it gives to you, to also be faster than it used to be, and be more accurate in what data it shows you, especially in the scenarios with multiple users using the same apps. This brings you the data. I know when we were doing the stand-up, sit-down exercise, there were a bunch of you that sat down when we said fully managed on the cloud. And we've heard, Lior, that apps migration from on-prem is one of the biggest factors that people are still sitting on, not fully being cloud native. Do you want to demystify some?
Yes, absolutely. Another pain that we have from customers is the ability to move applications, especially homegrown applications, line of business, all of those applications that you're kind of comfortable with them on the on-prem area, but you do need them on the cloud, on Intune, in order to manage them. And with that being said, we have another two partners that I think deserve an applause that stepped up and picked up the game, in a sense, from Remo3 and RoboPack, that both of them has decided to offer to all of our customers free app migration from any platform to cloud native, including homegrown apps, for free for 2 months. So that's a game changer. Now you have no reason to hold off on moving to cloud native. This solution is available. So with that being said, scan the barcode. You can read it. Take advantage of it, because that's it. Config Manager is a phenomenal tool, but we need to move to cloud native. With that being said, we're going to move to the piece of application. And from application perspective, this is one of the 4 puzzle pieces that we have in place. I'm sorry, mobile. And from a mobile devices. And from a mobile devices perspective, mobile, as we mentioned, are very important. This is the main type of product, main type of device that everyone are using. And it's cool because everyone are holding it, everyone are using it. It's so convenient to access your data, your Outlook, your share drives, your OneDrive, everything on your phone. However, you also introduce a risk. So with that being said, there are a few different capabilities that we added across the Zero Trust framework. So the first one that I would pick on is verify explicitly. So hardware device attestation with Samsung Knox. That's something that we actually developed and enhanced this past year to make sure that there is no supply chain attacks and reduce the risk on a device level. From a least privilege perspective, we have also a phenomenal new solution, Manage Home Screen. If you haven't tested it, I strongly recommend to look into it. It's that your employees, the users, get to see only the approved apps on their desktop. They cannot access anything else. So as soon as they turn on the device, it's gated within the pre-approved applications. So you're reducing the risk. And if you assume breach, let's say that an employee or user lost the device or got stolen. The good news, your data can be safe if you use the remote wipe. The bad news, you're probably not going to get the phone back. But that's a different story. If we are moving forward, we're also moving to the next piece of the puzzle, which is Windows. Windows, the most popular operating system in the world, and specifically in the corporate world. And this is something that I'm going to spend a little bit more time to cover and give you a lot more information around. So when we're looking at the puzzle pieces and everything that we're looking across Windows and Windows 365, we are definitely looking at TPM 2.0. I know it's not that new, but it's important from a level perspective, of a device perspective, protection. From a least privilege access, Sangi already mentioned the Intune Suite endpoint privilege management. The approach should be all users are standard. And you only elevate to admin when is required together with enterprise privilege management. However, there are also a piece of passwords. And from that, we have Cloud Labs for Windows. That's something that is phenomenal for admins to be able to generate passwords, rotate the passwords, and everything on the device remotely. From assuming breach, what's usually happen when bad actors attack? They usually use known vulnerabilities. And in order to close the known vulnerabilities, patching. I know it's not the greatest thing, and it's not the most exciting thing, but you have to do patching. So make sure that you are using patching, and you have it with Windows Auto Patch, Hot Patch, and all of the ecosystem that we have. And of course, Windows 365 for AI. And why? Because you are able to use AI agent and run them on Windows 365 licenses. which means that if something happens, that not by design, it stays within the Windows 365 environment and doesn't impact the rest of your environment. But let's talk about the delivered zero trust value. Every morning that I wake up and I drink coffee, this is the first thing I look at. It reminds me how great our product is and how important it is to know all of those steps. So strongly recommend you to take a picture of it. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but you're also going to get the deck after that, so everything's going to be great. But if you're looking at the Windows and Windows 365 innovations, it was a lot of separate innovations that we did recently, including hot patch, maintenance Windows, manage Windows backup for organizations. We're going to deep dive into some of them. Today, I'm going to try to be quick, but detailed as much as possible because there is a lot of greatness. The first thing, question, how many of you are using hot patch? That's perfect, and it shows us that we need to do a little bit more work to educate you. Hot patch, security updates, zero-day updates. When you get those updates, it's cool that you download it, but unless it's installed and restart, your device is not secure. Hot patch changed the game. Hot patch was announced about a year and a little bit ago, and this is real data, aggregated data that we have. Customers that use hot patch find themselves with 50% more devices patched after the first 2 weeks. It's a game changer. Think about the vulnerabilities that you want to close, and every employee try to push the updates and postpone, postpone, postpone. However, this is the standard 2 weeks. Now, we all know that from a security perspective, you kind of want to push it a little bit faster. So it all depends on your deployment rings. If you choose that your deployment rings are faster, if you include more devices within the rings, clearly you're going to be patched faster. So it all depends on your organization, the level of comfort, and everything else that you are looking for. Then let's look at that. Yes, Lior, cool. You saved us the restart with securities. But we need to do restarts for drivers, for firmware, for everything else. So cool, you saved us one restart, but there are many others. Good news, maintenance windows. Maintenance windows allow you to allow specific time window for all of those updates to happen from a driver perspective and everything else. So let's say decide between 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the morning, all of the devices will get it, and you can even schedule it based on firmware, driver, and any other updates that you want to do. What does it do? First of all, you make sure that the updates are happening at night, so you are not interrupting the people and impact productivity. Second, you prevent the postpone, and no devices are compliant. So this is kind of meeting both of the requirements. From one side, we are zero trust, we are secure, because all of the updates were installed. From the other side, you're not getting any tickets because someone is waiting for more than 5 minutes on a computer to restart. So we touched hot patch, we touched maintenance windows. Now let's touch the managed Windows backup and organization. That's another thing that was a little bit pain, especially when you're moving devices from an older device to a new device. A lot of you went through the experience from Windows 10 to Windows 11. If you are moving to cloud native, for example, you do need to restart the device, which means that you need to refresh the device from the operating system perspective to move from Azure Directory to Entra. And one of the pain is to actually install the backup. So what we offer right now is the ability to back up all of your settings before you move the machine. This is all required from the admin perspective, just to click on the on, choose the on button. Now we are switching to the out-of-the-box experience from Copilot. I'm sorry, not Copilot, Autopilot. And we have a lot of pilots. And pretty much deploy the device as a first-time experience. And look at that. You go there, the user goes there, choose which device they want to restore from. They just click continue, and everything is great. Pretty much the waiting is part of their out-of-the-box experience. Clearly, there is a false thing because it says, hi, Matt, my name is Lior. But you have the hello accounts, you set up all of the PIN, the codes, and everything else that you're looking for to make the magic. And then the good news, once the device is loaded, then you have the best thing in existence on the planet. Your puppy is back on your desktop. Now, another thing that we did is to talk about Autopatch. Autopatch, I personally announced about 3 or 4 years ago. It was a game changer to move the hustle around Patch Tuesday. However, once you let something automated, similar with AI, you as an IT admin wants to have trust. You want to have visibility. You want to have insights of what is going on in the environment. And with Autopatch, we have update readiness that allows you to verify all of the device preparation and everything that is happening in advance. So you are able to see device reporting from a tenant-wide inventory perspective. You see the update readiness checkup. You actually see the update lifecycle, and you see how many devices got pushed the updates, how many of them are installed, how many of them, everything, and how many of them are compliant. So if you get a call at 12 o'clock at night from your CISO of telling you, oh my God, how many devices we have, vulnerable devices, you are able to pull this report very, very quickly. You don't need to merge data sets. Everything is available, and it's giving you the comfort to use your Patch Tuesday on other more revenue-generating activities versus just patching devices. Another thing that we have, and I'm not going to cover much, is Intune recovery. Intune recovery is the ability when, not on us, the operating system just not loading, and it's not fun, but you are able to recover the device from remotely after the BIOS level is being loaded. There is a lot of greatness around it, a lot of information. The good news that Breakout 345 with Rob today is a great session to go and learn more about it. It's another really, really good capability. More things that we heard from, and I really want to demystify over here, is managed cloud apps. It was a perception, which was true until recently, that line of business apps and custom apps for frontline workers cannot be managed on the cloud. The good news, you can do it. And it's available, and something you should definitely explore and look into it, because that allows you to move from all of the classic VDIs to Windows 365, and that's something that's going to make life much easier, but also allow you to manage the applications together. Then, of course, after my confusion about the actual name, it's called Autopilot. Autopilot device preparation, that's another experience. We all know that Windows 365 is just another Windows device. It's just on the cloud. So we need to treat it similarly from policies perspective and everything. And if we want to do making sure that when someone starts to use the Windows 365 device right away, you are able to do Autopilot on Windows 365. And then it's consistent experience across physical and cloud devices. And lastly, we have Windows 365 Reserve. I don't know if you are like me. I tend to spill coffee on my machine all the time, but it's not my fault. I blame the cat, even though I don't have one. But if you are looking to do it, so let's say that something happened to your machine, no worries. Pretty much while you're waiting for your IT provider to send you a new device, you are still can log into Windows 365 under your managed tenant and actually use all of the solutions over there. You are able to actually access all of the corporate resources. That's in comparison to what it was before, that you go pick up your kid's computer, your Chromebook, or a cell phone that was and try to access information, move files, putting all of the financial statements on your kid's Chromebook, and done deal. And then you introduce a risk. So to prevent these type of risks, we really want to make sure that everything is staying within the Windows ecosystem and the managed ecosystem. Windows 365, it's an additional SKU that's available from Windows. Strongly recommended, especially if you see those things. Now, we completed with Windows, but Jason Rozak emphasized it a lot of times yesterday. We are not only managing Windows. So, Sangi, will you take us?
Of course. We also manage cross-platform devices, Linux and Mac OS. And Mac OS has had a serious security upgrade with platform SSO, with standard users by default, and Cloud Labs. I'm going to show a demo and walk you through some of these improvements that we have had with Mac OS. Okay, when I start this demo, you see we're going to start with creating an enrollment profile. As you go through creating the enrollment profile, you see now you can create a new admin account. And you can have the password that's managed. You can also decide if you want to see this in your users list or groups list or not. And that decision is what we just checked. And then it gives you the other options to go standardize the way you create the usernames and display names. Now let's go through the experience. As soon as you go through this, you have platform single sign-on kick in. You go through, and before you enter the password, now you have the option to use your passkey, and no passwords required. It goes through, authenticates, registers the device, goes into standard user mode, and you can now see the user profile coming up on the screen. As the user profile comes up, I enter my password, or no, enters his password. They enter the password, and you're all set to be productive on this device with productivity apps and single sign-on traveling across your device. You're starting to use it. Let's go check the users page. We should not be seeing the admin because we chose to hide it. So as we go through it, there's no admin, and the user profile still here. Let's go check to see if we can open Outlook and how hard it is or easy it is to open Outlook. Opening Outlook, sign-on kicks in. You just go, watch for continue, and you are ready to be productive. One more thing here. This is managing on the console. You can manage recovery, and you can manage the passwords on the console together. How cool is this, folks? Mac OS management with Intune. Simple and secure. OK, that brings us to the last piece of the puzzle. And that opens the portal to Zero Trust.
So we are ready. So once you pass the gate of the Zero Trust, and can I get a high five for that? Oh. Thank you. Once we got to the Zero Trust section, we completed it. Congratulations. You are all, at least mentally, in the Zero Trust stage. We are Zero Trust Cloud Native. But when we open the portal, I want you to visualize the collecting all of the rings. When you open the portal, we are entering a new era, because there is one ending is a new beginning. And the new beginning is Copilot and Intune Copilot. And as if you've seen, it's included in E5. I'm going to say it over and over because I'm personally excited for it. So let's take a quick view of how it looks like. Now, I'm not sure if it's a common practice across all of the other sessions, but hey, I see some of you living away before you got your homework. Make sure that you read all of the homework, you take all of this homework. Make sure you try our Security Copilot and Intune. This is a phenomenal, phenomenal experience. It's pretty mind-blowing, to be honest. Make sure that you check the box on each one of these. Now, there is also a Zero Trust workshop that's happening today. So if you are able to attend it, make sure that you attend it. But don't worry, if you are online or you are unable to attend it, strongly recommend to go to aka.ms/ZT workshops or scan the barcode. It's easier. But also we have more sessions that strongly recommended. The top essential for integrated AI, so Entra and Intune together with Maayan. Today we have the Zero Trust Lab, as I mentioned, and the Windows in the Cloud Resilience. So with that being said, are we ready to say goodbye?
Yes. With that, friends, we are here for answering questions, for following us. Come talk to us in the booth. But thank you for joining us in this journey for Zero Trust. We are here to help you. Thank you.